This is, without a doubt, the easiest and most effective, safest way to change or flush your power steering fluid, bar none. Now, why would you want to change your power steering fluid, you might ask? Well, go check the level and take note of the color of that fluid. Most likely, if you haven't thought about it before, that fluid is black. What that means is it's got a lot of contaminants in it, and it's probably very bad for your power steering pump. Now, I'm no professional technician here, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that it is most likely easier to change your power steering fluid than it is to change a power steering pump. And why would I say safest? Well, with this method, you do not have to start the engine. Yeah, it's that good. Now, hold on, I'm gonna stop right here and say, for those of you guys that are subscribers to my channel, you know that I've already uploaded 2 videos doing this exact same method. The thing is I have 3 vehicles, so I figured I'm gonna do it 3 times, why not upload 3 separate videos? And the first time was a standard gearbox in a 2003 Chevrolet Suburban. The second time was a rack and pinion system in a 2005 GMC Envoy. And this time is gonna be a little bit older of a vehicle. It is a 1995 GMC Suburban, which does have a standard gearbox like my other Suburban. In any case, they're all a little bit different, but most likely gonna be pretty much the same. You'll see what I mean. Let's get started. The first thing you're gonna wanna do, and probably one of the most important steps here, is to get the front tires off the ground. You can see I'm using a pair of 6-ton Harbor Freight jack stands to accomplish this task. Now, getting those front wheels off the ground is essential to this process. That's going to allow you to turn the steering wheel from lock to lock without any restrictions at all. And that is how we're gonna do this without starting the engine. Next thing you're gonna wanna do is locate your power steering pump. You can see mine is just below my alternator. Alternator's here, power steering pump is right there. Now that you've located this power steering pump, let's go ahead and remove the fill cap. Now that you've located the power steering pump and the fill cap, we're gonna locate our lines. We got our high pressure line here, noted by the fact that they have high pressure fittings on both sides. And you can see our low pressure line is just below that. We do have a nice tight high pressure fitting there, but if you look at the other side here, you can see it is a regular hose clamp. So we're gonna need to remove that. In this case, this hose clamp will not be reused, so you might wanna have an extra hose clamp or 2 on hand. To accomplish this task, you're gonna need a couple of things. You can see this right here is probably the most simple. This is a plug. Since we're gonna be taking this low pressure line off, we're actually gonna need to plug up that metal end of the line. That's exactly what this is gonna be used for. I'm just simply gonna push this right onto the end of that line. Now, this here is a roll of hose, and I chose clear just so I could see more what's going on. You don't have to get a clear one. You also can see this hose barb that's in there. This is definitely the recommended setup. Of course, you're also gonna need this drain pan so all the old power steering fluid can drain into the pan. I got 3 quarts of this O'Reilly power steering fluid. Now that I've removed that clamp, we are gonna go ahead and quickly remove the rubber hose from that metal line, plug up the metal line, and keep that rubber hose plugged up with the end of our finger until we can shove that hose barb into that line. Okay, so this is kind of the hairy part. What I'm gonna do is attempt to... Okay, I got this loose. Now, this isn't high pressure, so nothing's gonna be pouring, but you definitely don't wanna spill this everywhere, so. Okay, got that sealed off, and wow, that one actually poured out a lot more than I thought it would. And we got that in. Perfect. Okay guys, so let me show you what we're working with here. Here you can see I've attached my clear line with the hose barb into the return line. And just like I was telling you, we have the plug plugging that other end of the return line coming out of the reservoir. So with that plug there, we're actually going to be able to block off the reservoir so all of the fluid in the reservoir doesn't just drain out. Well guys, the hard part is actually over. All we have to do now is crank our steering wheel left to right, lock to lock, and that should pump all of the old fluid out through this clear line and into the drain bucket. Of course, you're going to want to make sure your clear line is actually being fed into the drain bucket, and if you can, secure it somehow to that drain bucket so it doesn't come out. Okay, so we're ready to start the process. What I'm going to do is get into the car. I'm going to turn the steering wheel from lock to lock, but I'm gonna set this camera down so you can see that fluid pumping out into that drain bucket through that clear line. Here we go. You do have to have the key in so that your steering wheel won't be locked. Okay, that's lock. I'm doing it the other way. I'm coming back. I'm coming back again. Okay, let's check our progress. Holy smokes, guys, look at that. Look at that, guys. It's coming all the way from the motor, down the line, and right into that drain bucket. Okay, guys, so one major step here is to make sure that you're always topping off the reservoir. Just go ahead and start dumping your power steering fluid in there and try your best not to overflow it. You do not want to spill power steering fluid all over everything. So just check your progress, top off the reservoir, and then crank the wheel back and forth. Here we go with the cranking. Lock to lock. Wow, guys, so we are getting quite a bit. You can see the fluid is actually turning a little bit lighter colored in the line. You can see the color of the fluid still isn't clear, so we're just gonna keep doing this process of cranking the wheel lock to lock a couple times, refilling the reservoir until this line turns the color of the new fluid. All right, guys, I think we're cooking with fire here because our fluid's starting to clear up, and that's a good sign. If you look at the color of our fluid, it is now getting clear. I'm gonna do this a little bit more just to be sure that all the old fluid is out of there. Okay guys, a couple more times, we're gonna crank this. You can now see just how clear the new fluid is. Even looking up here, you can see that the fluid is all brand new. That means that the fluid has been pumped through the entire system and is now completely fresh. Okay, we're done. The system is buttoned up and I have cranked the wheel from lock to lock with everything buttoned up to try to relieve any sort of bubbles that may have been introduced into the system. I don't think there really was any because we didn't have the motor running. We were able to do this really under our control. So the last thing we want to do is start the vehicle and make sure that everything sounds good. We don't hear any weird power steering noises or anything like that. And of course, you want to make sure that your levels are correct by inserting your cap, pulling it back out, and checking your levels before you start the car. Okay, so here goes nothing. I do hear a weird whining sound, but I believe that's coming from my alternator. As far as the power steering goes, sounds great. Power steering sounds fantastic, guys. We're gonna go ahead and take this thing down off the jack stands. All right, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did. This is my third video regarding this method of flushing the power steering fluid. I'll put the other two videos down in the description below, along with any links to the tools and stuff that you saw me use. When I first learned that you can actually flush your power steering fluid without starting the engine, it got me excited, which led me to flush all the power steering fluid in all three of my vehicles. It was extremely easy, and I'm really glad that I did it, and I'm glad I got to show you guys too. Anyways, guys, if you learned something, if you got anything out of this, even if it was just for entertainment, please hit that thumbs up and also subscribe if you're not already. I will see you in the next video, guys. Peace out.